The facts around climate change are undeniable. It's happening. The research that we do now isn't about trying to convince ourselves that it's real, because it's irrefutable. What we're trying to do is understand what the response time of the system's going to be into the future so that we can adapt to it. I didn't have a direct path through university into glaciology. I mean, glaciers are cool, pardon the pun, but everybody wants to be a glaciologist when they grow up, don't they? The reason that I study glaciology now, and the reason that I've found myself employed by the Australian Antarctic Division, is because I'm really passionate about science and I enjoy doing science, and I have done so for a long time. It's a unique opportunity to get into an area of science where the questions are unanswered. There are many really fundamental questions we're trying to get a handle on. I also am a very passionate believer that for us to adapt to climate change as a society, we need to understand the response of the Antarctic ice sheet to climate change.
Go ahead, Nigel.
Yeah, Simon, works from the choppers. It's suitable for the helos. There's no low clouds, there's a little bit of high cirrus and shadow, but beyond that, it's sunny and clear.
Fantastic. Very good.
With climate change, as we continue to emit CO2 into the atmosphere, that's obviously causing global warming. But what a lot of people don't realise is the ocean absorbs 30% of that atmospheric CO2. So on a local scale, microorganisms are really important for the food chain because everything eats them. While they seem small and insignificant, they're really the most important part of the ecosystem. So any changes in that under current climate conditions will have flow-on effects up the food chain.
Hello. Ah, what a cutie.
This little fella is a Weddell seal. They're one of the only seals that come right up under the Antarctic sea ice all year. They find their way up through tide cracks. Once they've been out feeding for a couple of days, they come back into rest. So they'll normally chew their way through the tide cracks and then come up and rest on the surface. And they have their pups in some of the bays around here. This fella's come out one of the holes that we've drilled to access the seafloor that we've been working on, and that's quite common when we're down here diving. The seals will come up. It's a ready-made exit hole for them. So we'll come in the morning and there'll be 2 or 3 Weddell seals lying around the hole.
I guess since I've been here, I've realised that you've pretty much got everything here that you've kind of have at home. There's not too much you go without. The only thing you go without is the fact you're not at home. I know a lot of people I've spoken to here and other former expeditioners have said They just like the community. They do it because they like this close-knit community kind of culture that develops. In terms of the population, if you compared it to a small town of, say, 100 people, it's actually quite different to that because the bonds within the community are a lot stronger. So a lot of people like that.
Backaches, sprains of the knee, sprains of the ankle, foreign bodies in eyes are quite common. Minor cuts and abrasions. Generally speaking, it's pretty minor stuff. Fillings, replacement of lost fillings, broken teeth. The curse of the Antarctic doctor is minties. God, they're like suckers that you bite on them and they pull out your filling. Years ago, somebody had to do a craniotomy, drill into the skull for a bleeding vessel, and they practiced on a seal. And I'm not sure if the seal survived, but certainly the patient did.
One of the greatest things that I've found being here is that everyone just loves the chef. As you can appreciate, the chef is a pretty pivotal person on station. Having a well-cooked hot meal is important. Obviously, because we don't have the luxury of being able to go and buy anything, we have to pretty much make everything from scratch. So this is a loaf of white sourdough. We've got this culture here which is over 12 months old, so we just keep feeding it. And then that's what you get. Beautiful fermented sourdough, which is very popular. Everyone's getting in, helping, and you see that right across the station. That sense would have been there for a long time of community. You know, people have been coming here, and so some traditions have been born.
Our team works in the area of Antarctic conservation and management, where we look at the impacts of humans in Antarctica. Here at KC, there's been a number of fuel spills over the years. Some of them are legacy spills, and some of them are more modern spills. Our team is working on developing some low-cost remediation techniques that can be adopted here in the cold environment. So remediation is about restoring sites back as much as possible to their natural ecosystems.
When we started doing science in Antarctica, it was important and interesting because we were learning about things that we simply didn't know about. So it was a great era. But nowadays the science is it's really critically important to what we do in the future. In fact, it's critical to our well-being and our ability to understand what's coming and how we best adapt and mitigate the effects.
I do worry about the future. I think it's just human nature to worry about the future.
Hold it there.
I have 2 children, so of course I'm worried about their future. The world we work on today is the world that they inherit tomorrow.
It's just all-encompassing. The atmosphere is so unique that for myself it absorbs you almost, whether it's the quietness of it, so pure and fresh and alive.
It's a beautiful place. It's the beauty of this place, the animals, the extremes of weather. It's just magnificent.
Yeah, I still find myself just sort of stopping and looking around, and I think for me it's the openness of it and the space and the emptiness.
You know, being down here, it's awe-inspiring, of course. It's slightly intimidating, deep excitement there. It's absolutely fantastic to be here doing the work that I do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
You just soak it all up. You know, you can't stop having a sense of wonder about the place and exploring more and more. There's always something new. Even after 12 times down here, I'm learning something every time I come down here, and there's always a new sense of wonder about it.
It's one of the most remote places you can get, and that's what attracted me here. If I was 40 years younger and Australia had a space program, that's where I'd be heading now.